Everybody, and welcome to Beefmaster Banner. We are your host, Josh Morrison and Jared Strickland. What's going on, Jared?
Oh, not a lot. Freezing to death.
It's a little cold, huh?
It's cooled off. I think winter's finally showed up.
Winter's gonna bite its teeth pretty quick. Feels good to be back after a episode off. You and Trey had a really good episode, so
Oh yeah, it was fun.
it was a good one. It's good to be back, and this is going to be the last episode until the new year. We've decided we're going to take a little Thanksgiving, Christmas break here, starting in December, and we'll be back with you on the 13th of January. But you can stay up to date on our posts. We'll still be posting on our Facebook page and everything throughout then. So
Yeah, it sounds like we got several new listeners too, so that might give them time to catch up on all the episodes. I think this will be 22 for our first year, so we did pretty good, I think.
pretty amazing. We're 22 episodes in already.
Yeah,
I think we didn't know if this was going to work out or not.
definitely during the break going into the new year, y'all be thinking of topics to talk about. We're going to try to change it up a little bit, freshen it up some, and like that. So if there's anything that y'all want us to talk about, definitely send us a message either through Facebook or text us or call us or whatever you want us to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to get a little more in depth this coming year. Maybe dig our teeth into some different subjects, and it's going to be it'll be a good new year and a good way to recharge and restart. But enough about next year. Let's talk about now. We have Matt Woolfolk with us tonight. How you doing, Matt?
Good, guys. Glad to be here.
Thanks for coming on. You're in Iowa, right?
I am. It's a nice, balmy 21 degrees, wind chill of 7, 3 inches of snow on the ground. Everything you could wish for right about now.
In the cattle business, you got to love it.
Yeah, I don't know what your weather is, Jared, but I think I can win this battle.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
I believe it's 30.
I'll let you win all day long, too.
I believe it's 34 here, and I'm already complaining. So it's what'd you say the high? You told us what the high was before the show. What was it again?
I think our high today got to 24, maybe 25. The wind chill stayed pretty close to single digits all day. And of course, cows got out, so that was a nice little chase down the road in the late afternoon chill.
They never get out when it's convenient.
No, not at all.
No.
They know.
That's it. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. I'm sure a lot of people in the Beefmaster world know who you are. Feel sure some don't, but I believe you did work for BBU at one time, if I'm not mistaken. Just go in, if you will, and just tell a little bit about yourself.
So I grew up actually kind of in Jared's neck of the world. Family farm is in Jackson, Tennessee. My dad and older brother, and now my nephews, are raising Hereford seed stock there just outside of Jackson. So I grew up on that operation. When I got older, went to college at Mississippi State, studied animal science there. Really kind of developed an interest in genetics while I was in Starkville, and so pursued that further. Went on and got a master's at Texas A&M. And then once I finished up with school there in College Station, my first job out of school was with BBU. I spent just shy of 2.5 years on the road as a field rep for BBU, traveling the Southeast and all over Texas, visiting with breeders all over the country. Did that for just over 2 years, just shy of 2.5. It was a great first job out of school. But at that time, then the opportunity came up for me to move to Kansas City and go to work for the American Shorthorn Association in the role of director of performance programs. So I got to focus a little more on the genetics and data side of seed stock production, and was there full time for 4 years until, I guess the love bug bit. I got married, moved up here to a small town of Adair, Iowa. This is my wife's hometown. She and I, and definitely have to give credit to my father-in-law. He's the one that actually keeps things going around here on the farm. But we all kind of run together. We have commercial cow herd and also some registered Angus and registered Hereford cattle. And back the first of this year, we added the next generation to our crew. Our son Lane is just over 9 months old now, and we think he likes the cows already. He gets pretty excited when we take him outside and let him see the cow. So we hope he's going to continue to be involved as he gets older with everything that we've got going on.
Good deal. It's always fun to have the little ones. Mine's just shy of, she'll be 2 in March, and she loves riding the tractor and being around the cows, and it's just fun. It's especially when they like it.
Wait till they turn 4 and they tell you which bulls to breed.
Well, if he's got good suggestions, we very well could listen. We'll see how that goes.
Always open to suggestions.
Oh, wait.
Now you own your own business also, correct?
That's correct. So when I moved to Iowa, Erica and I started what's known as MRW Cattle Resources like we needed something else going on. We decided we needed to start our own small business to just add to our plate at that point. But we've been going at that for about 1.5 years now since we started that venture together.
So maybe go in depth, if you will, a little bit. What is MRW?
So the simple answer of what MRW is it's basically, we want to be a helping hand to the seed stock producer. And we largely want to do that through guidance on the data and number side of raising seed stock cattle. We kind of take a 2-winged approach to that. One of them being through production, sales, and marketing, doing data analytics and sale prep for producer sales, be it bull or female sales. And then also through kind of cow herd analytics, studying the performance records and the data on the cow herd to kind of see where the producer sits, and based off their goals for their herd, the moves they need to make to kind of get where they want to go. And so that's the 2 major pieces of what we've got going over the last 1.5 years, and the things that producers have found to be the most beneficial that we've been able to offer.
I've seen some of your reports before, and just not to go into any details or anything, but they're really detailed, and you can learn a lot from it. So if there's any other purebred breeders out there listening that have production sales or even just want your herd looked over and see some analytics on it, I highly suggest it, because the data you're going to get back is probably going to help you in your breeding decisions, because he broke it down all the way from genetics and which ones brought more from the way they looked and all that. I mean, it's just the way he scored them, and it's pretty neat. So I definitely recommend that.
Although the goal might be for the producer to learn more and help them do things better, every time I've sat down to go over a sale or look at a cow herd, I feel like I'm learning stuff to put in place here in our herd, or to help other producers from, if looking at Jared's cow herd, I've learned something that I can take and go help Josh down the road and that sort of thing. So it's been beneficial hopefully for the folks that I've gotten to work with, but it definitely has been for me.
Yeah, for sure. So you're a numbers guy.
Yeah, definitely a numbers guy. Ever since I was little, math has kind of been one of those things that I've been pretty good at and enjoyed. As a sports fan growing up, the statistics of baseball and football and basketball were always especially interesting, and figured I probably couldn't make a living off of sports side of things. So I found a way to bring the numbers and the statistics of the world back to my other love, the beef cattle, and dreamed up MRW, and lo and behold, it took hold, and we're rolling pretty good.
Well, and it sounds, like you guys said already, it'll really help the producer. I mean, it sounds like you could really even get down to what, in their herd, to the, top just couple main producers that are really, really beneficial for that producer.
Yeah, you can identify those cows that, maybe there's some cows that you start digging into things, they're doing a better job for you than you realize, that maybe they deserve a chance to be AI'd, or bred to a better herd bull, or conversely, the cows that might be costing you money, if it's the ones that, you've got a lot of invested in her, but she's really not pulling her weight. And having somebody come in as a unbiased third party that doesn't know the backstory or the history maybe behind those females can kind of identify some things that maybe you as the producer don't. The same kind of thing on the sales side. I've doing these reports and working with folks, I've had them tell me before the sale, oh, my customer definitely wants this kind of bull. But then you start diving into the numbers, and what people are paying for on sale day maybe doesn't quite add up to what they thought they needed to be producing, and give them opportunity and some data to possibly adjust the breeding program to better fit what their buyers and their market are telling them.
Yeah, and it takes you take the bias out of the equation, because we all, as breeders, whether people want to admit it or not, we have our favorites and we have our idea of what we're doing. And sometimes that third, like you said, that third party coming in there and giving another eye may help change that a little bit.
Well,
Yeah, for sure. That's what we aim to do, is be unbiased, give you an honest opinion. And I wouldn't advise anything. I wouldn't be afraid to try it at our own place. If someone came in and told me the same thing, I would hope that it's advice that I'd be willing to listen to if it came from somebody else. Now, if I tell it to myself, I'm a lot less likely to listen than hear it from the outside. But
yeah,
it's always something about hearing it from the outside that makes you listen a little better sometimes.
It makes you think a little harder.
I'm at fault for that.
Yeah. Well, I guess kind of moving forward, we feel like it's been a pretty good year for sales, but you got any, as far as reporting some of the sales that you've worked on or whatever, do you feel like the averages are higher than they've been in the past, or you feel like we're kind of flat, or are we moving higher next year, or what do you think?
At this point of the year, we're far enough into it that I think it's safe to say averages are up, demand is up. And, I've been fortunate enough over the last 11 months to work on sales in 6 different breeds and traveled to 8 different states, and even went to Canada for a few days back in the spring, working on different sales. And across the board, things are moving in a positive direction, especially on the bull sale side. It seemed like everywhere you went this year, this year's sale was a good bit better than last year's. Folks are optimistic about where the market is heading in general. And when folks are optimistic and there's a little bit of cash flow out there, bull prices tend to follow. And we're into the fall season. You probably see a few more female sales this time of year, but things haven't slowed down. It was just a week and a half ago, I went to a 200 female sale, and they were just hundreds of dollars ahead of last year. Barn was absolutely full of bidders and buyers, just so much enthusiasm of where this thing might be going, and people trying to get good females into the herd while there's the opportunity to do it. Because our U.S. cow herd in general is probably going the other way. It seems like we're going to have a lot less cows around, and so if there's less ones around, there's probably going to be less good ones available. And when you get the chance to go find a good one, it's a chance worth taking right now, but it's probably going to cost you a little more than it did a couple of years ago.
In your opinion, I know this is a very broad question I'm about to ask, but in your opinion, do you think prices have a lot to do with the droughts in the Midwest this year, the economy? What are you kind of chalking that up to, you think?
I don't know if there's one single piece that you can say is affecting it. I think drought is definitely a player. There's a lot of cows leaving different areas of the country because there's no feed resource right now. When I came out of school and started to work at BBU, the first few months I was on the job was the highest cattle market we'd ever seen. It was one of those things that people wonder, is this the new normal? Is this ever going to come back to reality? Well, looking at it 8 years later, it was just the high point of a typical 10, 12-year cattle cycle where supply of cows gets tight, supply of calves get tight, but those that are able to stick it out are rewarded. Unless you're the buyer, maybe you're not quite rewarded in that situation where you're having to go buy those bulls. But I think part of it's we're just sitting at the spot in the typical cattle cycle, and you combine that with drought conditions in so many places that just kind of the perfect storm that, in my opinion, as I look at things, I think the next couple of years could be real interesting for us.
Oh, I tend to agree with you on that. I'm very optimistic. And I tell my producers here in Extension to, if there's a way to stick it out, I think there's better times ahead, which there's always seems like a black swan around every corner that keeps changing that over the last year or two. But
Last
think
2 years have been black swan after black swan for us.
and you feel like it's about to get rolling, just like in 2020. You know, we had some calves bought some stocker calves, and we were like, "Boy, we fixing to do it." And then, bam, COVID hit, and it's just like, it was starting to roll. Then you could tell the optimism was getting, and then that just smashed it. And then that took forever, and then it's almost like deja vu in 21. It starts rolling again. Everybody's getting optimistic. Bam, the war in Russia hits, and it does everything. It's just, and I don't know. So maybe this time around, we may not have it. Too bad.
I'd hate to see what the next event could be that they will to help us slam the brakes on. Hopefully we don't have to worry about that, and we keep going through this cycle, and those of us that get to stick it out can benefit from it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree.
Well, and it always amazes me is in the cattle business, it's everything directly affects the cattle business. It seems like, I mean, you talk about the war in Russia, fertilizer prices go up. You talk about, other things, and it just seems like everything, I guess, because so many components and so many factors or so much input in the cattle, it just seems like everything directly affects it.
Yeah, Josh, you're absolutely right. And the one that we talk about the most in this part of the world is watching the corn prices. Because as soon as those corn prices go up, it costs that much more to feed every feeder calf in the state of Iowa, Nebraska, and all across the Corn Belt. And then at the same time, it's just, you start taking fertilizer prices up, it costs that much more to feed the cows. And it gets to the point we have to have a good market to break even on a commercial calf. And those that are managing right are able to do it. But I would imagine there's plenty of folks that if they sit down and really start digging into how things are going, may not be doing quite as well in these commercial cattle as they thought they were. Whether it's just a diversifying an enterprise, around here, a lot of row crop farmers will have a handful of cows, but it's not the main source of income for them. They're making their money off of the corn and soybeans, but there's a few cows around to supplement and cash flow different times of the year. But everything is tied together, whether we realize that or not. It's corn goes up, feed goes up, and then we need calves to go up.
Don't really have any choice at that point.
No, we're pretty well at their mercy on that one.
Well, you mentioned that you had been to several different breeds of sales and things like that. How do you see the Beefmaster comparing maybe to the other breeds as far as, I guess, overall view of how, I guess, maybe the commercial man sees us as a breed, or maybe that's a good way of putting it. Just kind of, I guess, how are we comparing to other breeds right now that you're seeing as far as maybe quality and demand?
So I've been fortunate enough to get to work with a couple Beefmaster sales over the last year and a half. And well, the first thing I'd say is, regardless of breed and whether it's bull sale, female sale, either one, the number one driver of a premium price on a bull or a female has been phenotypic quality. As much as we, as seed stock producers, have discussed the importance of having data behind these cattle to prove that what they could do genetically. The guys sitting on the seat still want them to be sound, to have some eye appeal, have some muscle shape and look. And we've still got to make them good livestock to get their attention. It doesn't matter near as much what the paper says if the bull doesn't at least catch your eye when you walk in the pen. But with that said, folks that are buying Beefmaster bulls, from what I've seen at least, I think there's two things they're hunting for, and that's putting some added growth in feeder calves and doing that with the hybrid vigor that a Beefmaster can provide especially on a British set of commercial cows. That extra weight that you can put on those steer calves is, well, we just talked about the inputs and cost and everything. The extra punch you can get from hybrid vigor putting a Beefmaster on a set of British cows will pay for that, the extra dollars you have to put into that bull pretty quick. Then I think the other thing that's been popular about the Beefmaster is looking to make that maternal replacement half-blood Beefmaster female. It seems like when I've been looking at these sales, $M seems to be pretty important right now. Those cattle that have a little extra growth on paper in terms of their growth EPDs and also carry a high $M, those are some bulls that are getting some extra attention. And if they look the part to go with it, then they've been ringing the bell pretty good across the breed. It seems like it from my experience and what I've been able to see.
So what do you think? I guess you probably kind of answered that in a way. So is there anything you have a suggestion for the Beefmasters as far as what we might could do better to gain more market share with the commercial market?
One of the best ways to gain and keep your market share when you're looking at the commercial market is that you can't take away from what your target cow base already does well. So for the Beefmaster, I think you're seeing a lot of Beefmaster bulls going to work on whether they're Angus-based cows or even Brangus-based type females, depending on what part of the country they're going to. Those cows are going to give you some traits and some qualities. I don't think it's any secret to any of us that a lot of Angus-based commercial cows have the ability to meet quality grades and do well in a feed yard setting, perform on a grid when we take those cattle to market. And to an extent, Brangus cattle can do the same with that added heat tolerance. So to me, the key is that you don't want to take that out of them. You don't want, from the Beefmaster side, you have to have enough of the right genetics in there that you can cross it to that Angus or that Brangus female, and you still going to bring those high quality steers to the marketplace that can still grade and do well on a grid. And we mentioned the looks like the pursuit of $M on the Beefmaster bull. That's if that's what guys are looking for, then you still got to keep the maternal traits in line to where you don't lose that ability to make an awesome commercial female out of Beefmaster bulls. But at the same time, their steermate brothers can't be throwaway calves. They've still got to bring some value to the table. So it's really a balancing act in my mind, whether you're Beefmasters or any other breed out there. Every breed's got some things they do well and things that they need to work on. And it's just it's a balance and a quest to not lose what you're successful at, but also don't mess up what the black cow can do to help you out. Just the whole game of cattle breeding is a balancing act of trying to not get too far in one direction on anything. And there is such thing as too much growth or too much calving ease, there's always unexpected consequences if we take things too far to the extreme on anything.
Yeah, I agree with that. Anytime you go to the extreme, you're probably not going to like the results. I kind of like what you said there about when you're focusing on dollar M and making those replacements, you can't, your steers can't be throwaway calves. And I think that makes a lot of sense. It'd be hard for a commercial man to keep those replacements if his steers are not making enough cash flow for him to move on to the next cycle. And that's something we really need to remember as a breed. We got to do both.
Those steers are what's paying the way for him to be able to keep those heifers to realize that benefit down the road.
Well, and I think sometimes it's easy for us to find the extremes, but not as easy for us to find the middle ground, it seems.
The middle ground can get lost in the shuffle sometimes.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's it's always and I guess that's why we're always breeding to be better. I mean, you've always got to try to improve and try to make that better. In our case, that better beef master for the breed and for the commercial cattlemen. Well, really the last thing for the night before we run out of time. So we always ask everybody that comes on about a piece of advice for a new breeder or a breeder in general. What would be one piece of advice you would give?
I would say, especially for a new breeder, that I would advise to do your homework before you go make a significant investment in the cattle. Whether that's identifying programs that you want to be a part of, finding bloodlines that do what you want your program to do, and maybe even most importantly, finding the people you want to work with. If you get those pieces in place, you'll have a little better idea of where you want to go. And I feel like less likely to end up discouraged and, back at square one or gone before you even really get started. And I would also say quality over quantity. Sometimes we have a set number of females we want in the herd and we'll sacrifice to get there. But if you're buying females that don't fit what you need or want to do, then they're just filling a spot and they're probably not going to pay off for you. And one more thing that I would say that kind of follows along that line is don't be afraid to make decisions on cows or bulls that aren't getting the job done. Even if you've got an investment in them, that it might hurt to cut ties with that one. But if she's bringing you a dog calf every year, then she's costing you more money to keep her than she did when you bought her in the first place. And in the long run, not being afraid to cut ties with the cattle that aren't getting the job done for you it'll pay off if you're willing to stick it out and diligent enough to do it. It's just, I've been guilty of it. Sometimes you know what you've got in that cow and it's hard to let her go because you're not going to get it back at the sale barn, but she's going to keep eating and producing poor calves for you. She's going to cost you even more.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's one of the hardest things to do is swallow that big hit, but, and I guess
once they hop off that trailer at your place, the price tag doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
It's easy to say that, but hopefully I can practice what I preach there and actually do it. But I know it's hard. It's one of those things, what you paid for and you try to get some of it back, but some of them just don't work out.
And that's with anything in any business sometimes too. But especially in this business, the more money you spend on something like that, you're just digging yourself a bigger hole.
Yeah, absolutely. And something in your advice that I really liked was find the people you want to work with. I mean, if it's not enjoyable, the people you're around, then you need to change the people you're around. This business is stressful enough to have, be working with people that you're not happy with or that, make things more difficult. So I really like that part of your advice too.
Yeah, it's cliche when we say this is a people business as much as it is cattle, but it's true. you've got to work with people that you can trust and be a trustworthy person when folks come to you. And if somebody's looking for a bull, it's a sales call, whether you want to think of it as that or not. It's no different than if you're in manufacturing business somewhere and you're trying to get somebody's account. Is you've got to be able to work with people and treat them the right way if you want them to buy that first bull or first female and keep them coming back.
I agree with that 100%. I kind of learned that lesson back in my younger years when I was in the seed business. Everybody, they always said, everybody's got good genetics and get you what you need, but they don't buy from you for the genetics. They buy from you because of who you are and what you do for them. And I think since I've changed my mindset in life in general and in the cattle business, I feel like that's some good advice. I mean, because, you can get good genetics just about anywhere, but typically when you service oriented type businesses tend to do well. And I think you need to bring that to the cattle business as well. And I appreciate Matt for you bringing that up.
Yeah, that was good. We're pretty much out of time, but that was a good episode. And Matt, I appreciate you coming on, taking time out of your evening.
It was a pleasure. I'm probably feeling the pressure being your last one for 2022, but also having followed Trey Shear. I mean, goodness, that's a tough spot to be in. That's between a rock and a hard place, right?
We didn't put you in a good spot there, did we?
No, that was not ideal, but we'll make it work. And maybe once folks get done with Trey's, they'll just let it keep playing and they'll get to hear me too.
There you go. You followed him up well. And it kind of gives, with what your business is and what you're doing, it kind of gives maybe some hope for 2023 for folks that's listening through the winter here and maybe give them a positive outlook for next year.
Yeah, you bet. And if there's anybody out there listening that has more questions about what we're doing, we've got a website. Feel free to visit. It's just going to be mrwcattle.com. And we've also got a Facebook page that's MRW Cattle Resources. Be glad to answer any questions, visit with anybody. Just like I said, my wife and I both, we love the seed stock business and we love working with seed stock producers any way we can to try to make their operations better. And so that's what we're aiming to do.
Absolutely. Well, Jared, that was a fun first year we've had so far.
Oh, yeah.
Hope everyone has a happy Thanksgiving, a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Same to you, Matt.
Happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas to you guys, and keep up the good work you're doing. I enjoy listening to you guys from time to time. You're doing a good service for the Beefmaster breed, and I hope you can keep it going into 2023 and well beyond.
Thank you. They haven't run us off yet, so I guess we'll keep doing it till they do.
Yeah, well, appreciate the kind words for sure.
But we'll be back on January the 13th, and we'll start it all over again. Hope you guys have a great winter. And Matt, thanks again for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Enjoyed it.
Have a great night.
We'll see you around.
Well, we want to thank everybody for listening to the Beefmaster Banner podcast. Please know that we are on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and we are on YouTube. Just search Beefmaster Banner. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. We love hearing from you, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you.